How's it going, everybody? We got a fantastic video for you today because, of course, we will be showcasing the Fantastic Four team, both in Arena and in War. We'll focus more on Arena because they are a Arena team, and I think the findings might surprise you. People had a lot of theories of how this team was going to function in Arena because when we read through the kits, there was this one glaring weakness, and this happens all the time. That weakness was Emma Frost OG. Not the new Emma Frost X-Men, but the OG. Because there's nothing in Franklin's kit, Sue's kit, or Reed's kit that says the speed of this character can only be reduced by slow. So we should, theoretically, have all our characters going before the enemy here. Our Franklin's going first. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and do some damage here. Alright, good stuff. And then it's going to be the enemy Franklin. So then the enemy Franklins go. Now we both have battlefield effects up, which basically makes Odin useless. Odin will special, it'll heal, it'll cleanse, it'll do some cool stuff like that. But Odin's pretty much useless. Except, I think Odin's bugged. Odin, I believe, is what's causing the Emma not to work. Odin has it written in this kit that the speed of this character can only be reduced by slow. I think he's doing that to his entire team, at least in Arena. I'm not sure if he's doing it to all of his teams in all modes. But I do think this is what's causing it, because there's nothing in Professor X's kit that stops it. There's nothing in Franklin's kit. If you check out Franklin's passive, he has 2 or more Fantastic Four MCU allies. Enemies cannot have their speed increased. Nothing but allies having their speed decreased. Same thing in the rest of his passive. And yes, Professor X, also nothing there, which I thought was pretty interesting. So no, Emma Frost is not going to be trivializing anything. In fact, if you bring Emma Frost in, it's as bad as bringing Odin in, except Odin at least does a heal. At least he does a heal. I did find some other options that I thought were interesting, though. One of my favorite newer characters to the game is Shadow King. Shadow King wants you to use ults because he's going to ping that damage. But the enemy Professor X also wants you to use ults because he'll heal and cleanse off it. But with our silence from Franklin, he's not decaying those defects off, which I think is great. So let's go ahead and get silence off there, and we're going to see a bunch of other damage come in, which is really cool. There we go. We see the Franklin getting beat up for it. We love that. One thing I do want to mention, you see the Franklin use his mind control attack on the enemy Odin. That's because the enemy Odin has a higher damage stat. That might come into play when we're trying to find the best 5th member for this team. Because if we can get them to eat the mind control hits instead of Professor X, that's great. So you see the Shadow King is doing great damage, but there is always going to be this absolutely annoying, awful coin flip. We won the coin flip. All right? We won the coin flip, so I get to now control the enemy Professor X, give him an ability block, give him blind, give him all kinds of good stuff, maybe even kill him here. Looks like that's going to be the case. Or not. Oh, uh-oh. But now that they're all clumped together, Shadow King can actually do it, which is great. The Invisible Woman clump is fantastic. There goes Professor X. And from here, it's a pretty easy cleanup for us. We clear the charges off of Odin. You can see how useless Odin is in the new meta, okay? Odin's not going to cut it. He's just simply not going to cut it. But Shadow King wasn't the most reliable counter for me because of that coin flip. If the enemy Professor X goes first, the same way Invisible Woman clumped, helping my Shadow King and my Professor X do their thing, the enemy Invisible Woman also clumps, helping the enemy Professor X do his thing. Now, there's one character that introduces a new layer of security, and that's going to be Havoc. Yes, Cyclops, the summoned Cyclops from Professor X must be happy. His brother seems to be shoehorning himself into the arena meta. Now, this introduces 2 different coin flips, okay? So the first coin flip is, does my Professor X go first? If so, doesn't matter, I win. But there's a new coin flip now. If my Havoc goes before the enemy Odin, I can stun trauma the enemy Professor X, and it's an extra layer of security. And then I just always win the coin flip on my Professor X thereafter, right? So I think Havoc is going to be arena meta. I'm very interested to see how this is going to go. I have had Havoc kill Professor X once out of my many attempts, though. But I don't think that's the end of the world. Let's see who's going to go first, my Havoc or the enemy Odin. My Havoc went first. Perfect example. Let's get the stun trauma on him. Odin's going to do his special. I literally couldn't care less. He'll do a little bit of a heal, and that's it. He gets his charges up. My Professor X is going to clear the charges now. Let's pretend I didn't win the coin flip. The enemy Professor X could hit into me even if he doesn't hit into my Professor X, he would cover me in debuffs, which would make my character useless from that point. So you can see why I'm really kind of digging Havoc in this new arena meta. And I think that's probably where we're going to stand. Nightcrawler's not really going to get any play here because the Franklin is unavoidable and it decays things off. So I think that's going to get rid of the dodges. Songbird was great, but if your Songbird is too big, she'll actually kill your Professor X. So although Songbird is maybe my absolute favorite character, new character right now, I don't think she's going to get the play either. Yeah, this was it for me. I love the Havoc version of it. And this is, of course, only for people that are, you know, Professor X be Professor X. If you're not facing off against Professor X, unfortunately, nobody has that set for me to test up against right now. Fantastic Four is just going to clear everything. Fantastic Four counters Odin, like you saw. Fantastic Four counters by the battlefield effect. Odin doesn't get the battlefield effect, it's over. Fantastic Four counters Mephisto, no speed stat, get wrecked empowered. And then you have other characters that would counter Super Skrull, Dormammu, Annihilators, whatever the case may be, right? So if there is no Professor X in your arena bracket, your team is Fantastic Four. Your team is probably going to be like Fantastic Four, Gladiator, I don't know, Shadow King, Songbird, Havoc, Old Man Logan, something like that, right? And you're just going to laugh at everything. I think it's kind of fun. The meta is not super turtley. As you saw, the matches end really fast, one way or the other. And I think that's great. Alright guys, so they work pretty good in Arena, obviously. The mirror match doesn't look too daunting, but how are they going to work outside Arena? Really freaking good. So this is the Fantastic Four team with Professor X on the defensive side, and I think Sasquatch is actually being completely wasted here. Sasquatch doesn't do anything here because we already have a pre-taunt from the Reed Richards. So whatever we're going to do to get past the Sasquatch is the same thing we do to get past the Reed. So I think that they could be a Nightcrawler here instead, which would make this much more interesting because the counter to this team is actually the same as the counter to our current Professor X team, which is Professor X, Emma, Null, Sasquatch, and it could be Nightcrawler, it could be Gore, it could be Endgame Thanos. There's a bunch of different fits that it could be. But the good news is it's not some sort of impossible stopgap with a new Fantastic Four. So this is the team that we use normally. We do switch aces around. We do want Striker on our Odin for this. We could do Raider on Songbird, Skirmisher on Havoc is fine. The good news is they're not going to ruin war. But this team working as well as the current best in slot Professor X team means that you'll get your Null back. You'll get your Emma back. You'll get your Gore back. You'll get your Sasquatch back if you want to play around with some things, right? This team is doing exactly what the best team currently does, which I think is super interesting. I really do. And please note, if there was a Nightcrawler here instead of a Sasquatch, we would be using Ares instead of Apocalypse, which would make us a little bit weaker. But as you see, War is still War, Quasar is still Quasar, and nothing matters in his face, right? So they don't ruin War on the defensive side, but they will give you more options with the rest of your team. That's great. But maybe I want to use them on offense, because maybe they're amazing on offense. Let's try just by starting with this Annihilator team, and I'm just going to use the full team here so we can see Johnny in all of his glory. Now, because there is a Null, I believe Darkness will come and maybe change some stuff up, but Thing is still going to go first because of that speed bar, so we can go ahead and make our Franklin a Striker for this. I love this team because I love offense. I really much prefer to build my offensive options and have a lot of fun, and this team is a lot of fun. So I'll go ahead and special since I can't get by his taunt anyway. Psych, my game will break. I'll just close it, reopen it. There we go. And now I will special. Lots of bonus attacks, so we're going to have lots of vulnerables to hit into. There we go. We won't have vulnerables to hit into. What am I talking about? It's a Gladiator. It doesn't matter. We get to do a bunch of damage here. Let's go ahead and strip that off. Let's get an assist. Now we can get vulnerables to hit into. And now we'll head on over and hit this Null. Let's go ahead and get defense down on them. Let's group them all together. Lots of assists coming in. Look at that Null damage. Look at this Null. Get off my screen, Null. And he's just gone. He's just gone. I'll go ahead. I'm going to just throw this at the Thanos, see what happens. We got an assist. And he's just gone. Look at that Human Torch damage. I didn't even need to know Gladiator's kid anymore, okay? It doesn't matter. I don't need vulnerables. You're gone. Clobbering time for 4 million. Everybody's gone. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. But this is a different animal, okay? This team is a different animal. And again, I don't think this is the best version of this team. I don't think Ares is doing much on this team. I think having a Medusa here would be more interesting. But against Fantastic Four, it wouldn't be, because Franklin would stop the speed stat Medusa gives anyway. But we're going to try this one out, and I will make Franklin a striker for this one. He will be hitting into vulnerables put out by Thing. We have Zombie Scarlet Witch. She's going to be stopping the speed bar on both Kahori and Super Skrull, which is how you counter this team, right? How you counter this team is you stop their speed stat, and you go before them with speed bar or speed up. Now, if there's a Professor X there, you have to do what you saw me do earlier, which is pretty involved. And maybe it's going to not be something super replicatable in Crucible. But yeah, that's how you get by this. And this team kind of has that, so I need to use Zombie Scarlet Witch to help secure the fort here. Look at that Thing damage into this Miss Marvel Classic. Absolutely crazy. Let's do the Invisible Woman follow-up. She's already in the deep red. We've already procced her passive. We got another attack. This is going to get rid of her buffs. And here comes an assist. The follow-up striker attack. She's gone. She's just gone. Let's go ahead and do one of these attacks over here now. Let's get a bunch of debuffs out there. Oh my god. You're going to be lucky to get a turn here, Odin, my friend. Nope, you will not be getting a turn. Sorry to say, but you're done. The Fantastic Four team is absolutely cracked. Now, that was not a 100% win match. Sometimes that Miss Marvel Classic would survive with just a sliver of life, and then she would heal up and do what she does best, right? And that could be pretty scary, but yeah, guys. For the Fantastic Four team, I'm sold on them. They are insanely good. They are super fun to play on offense. They don't seem to be unbeatable on the defense, though they are extremely potent on the defense as well. I'm really excited for this team. I think they're going to make theory crafting really fun. I think the three-piece Franklin, Invisible Woman, and Reed Richards are going to be everywhere in the game, and I am terrified of when Scopely is going to turn them against us in PvE modes. Alright guys, if you like this video, please make sure you leave it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comment section how you feel about the Fantastic Four members, but for now, stay happy, stay healthy, have yourselves a wonderful day, and hey, if you're Canadian and you're watching this on the release day, happy Canada Day. Bye everybody.